Fact or fiction? Discovering the truth together here on the Edge Radio broadcast.
Discovering the truth together. You're listening to the Edge Radio broadcast with your host, Daniel Ott.
And welcome back to the Edge television broadcast. My name is Daniel Ott. If you have a question for tonight's guest, John MacKay, go to the EdgeAM.com website and you can join us in the Fast Blast. And don't forget to sign up for our newsletter. You can join the forum. You can become an Edge worldwide correspondent. What that means is we provide you with credentials to do your own research. That's right. You get your own bio page, your own Edge address, and you make your valuable contribution to the search for truth. And every Saturday night, we are discovering the truth together. If you have missed any of these exciting shows, all of these shows are archived, and we have several search functions on our website. And I guess when you talk about evolution, there might be somebody in the White House right now where someone suggested that no evolution has occurred whatsoever, that it may be actually retroevolution going on there. Don't forget to tune into our other Edge channels, 5 Edge channels at this time, and probably more to be added after that. And if you'd like to broadcast your own production, we can help you with that through the Edge Broadcasting Network. Go to the evnlive.net and find out what the Edge can do for you. Now, let's go back to our newsmaker line and see if we have John MacKay. John, are you with us?
G'day, mate. Good to be here again. And did you have a good break there?
Well, we had a break there. I don't know that the people that were watching our commercials were hearing, but there was a liner that was played. We had a guest on the show talking about underground bases, and every other word he was blaming every fault of mankind on Christians, at the same time saying that he doesn't paint with broad brushes. I just thought it was kind of funny and ironic that he said so. But perhaps evolution hasn't reached everyone. You know, John, there is so much hate and anger and men against men, countries against countries, just crimes galore, wars around the world. Does that speak for evolution or creation better? Which one of those two does that speak for better?
Well, you'll find that it actually fits the word SIN. So man uses any theory he has to justify his dominating others. You'll find that Stalin was willing to kill off millions of his people because evolution was his justification. Hitler was the same, but obviously there's been plenty of wars where people said God is on our side. So they have to have some sort of creation-based belief.
Right.
So it's actually people who are the common factor in war and not religion, and the big problem with people is that little issue of SIN, very unpopular word these days.
Right.
People don't want to believe you have a problem called sin. They want to say, oh, we're born this way.
Okay.
I can't help it. But it, of course, is no help when it comes to settling international disputes or that. Unless you deal with the real nature of man, you will not get anywhere.
Okay. And I mentioned just before we went to break, John, have you ever studied the flagellum motor?
As I said, I took 3 years of genetics at Queensland University, and some of the things you have to look at under the microscope as part of that is the intriguing little bugs, you know, that you get introduced in pond scum and things like that.
Right.
Because part of the genetics course is DNA evolved, and this produced, you know, the life force in cells, and the flagella is one of the intriguing things you see down the microscope, whipping these little bugs around, you know, like a little propeller in reverse.
Right.
It's a fantastic little thing.
Well, isn't that one of the poster organisms for creation, saying that it proves that there is something called irreducible complexity, which proves that it had to be intact as it is at one time, or because there's no way those parts could have assembled theirself.
Well, it gets broader than that, and I love to remind people that if you're just going to concentrate on the flagellum, you're missing the whole point. The flagellum doesn't work unless it's actually in water. The water won't help the creature stay alive unless there's oxygen in it. There won't be oxygen in it unless there's an atmosphere. There'll be no ability to get the oxygen there unless there's plants. So the flagellum is just a weeny-teeny part, but you're right. At the bottom level, you can't even make it work unless there's X number of bits there. And, you know, somebody came up with a concept called irreducible complexity a while ago. It's a big set of words, but the basic concept is very simple. If you want a car to work, there's got to be usually a wheel at each corner and a motor somewhere. That's the minimum amount. You don't really need the fancy leather on the seats, and you don't need a windshield wiper, but you certainly need a motor and some wheels and a connector somewhere. And the flagella is a basic concept. Nobody believes that horse and carriages evolved into cars with motors in the front. Somebody, when you see a motor, it tells you somebody existed before it. Somebody's not a part of it. Somebody is smarter than actually created it. It bears all the signature of creation and creator.
All right. Now, John, I know you spend a lot of time putting a shovel in the dirt. In any of your travels and archaeological exploits, have you seen any evidence that man has walked with dinosaurs?
You will find that most of the sort of stuff you find on that level, like we saw one book called Creation, Unlocking the Mysteries of Creation, which has got a fabulous picture of a fossil man in the middle, and the location of where he was found here in the States. And on the other side of the mountain, there's a strata with dinosaurs, which sort of goes over the top of where this man was. So you will find that, yes, you can actually look around and say, well, if man existed at the same time as dinosaurs, what would you expect? You'd expect stories about big monsters. Do we have them? Yes, we have plenty of them. They're even in the Bible. There's a big fire-breathing, big-toothed, monstrous creature in Job chapter 41 that nobody could conquer or tame. B, do you find fossils of the things? Yes, you do. C, do you find, you know, fossil people in association with it? Well, if the author of Unlocking the Mysteries is accurate in his address of this quarry and all of that, and it's a fabulous book, Unlocking the Mysteries, and there's a photograph there if you actually go and have a look at. But, of course, the normal thing to do is, and I remember doing this myself as an evolutionist, you say, well, it can't be that way because people weren't here when dinosaurs were here, so therefore this guy must have been buried by Indians much later and we've just made a mistake somewhere. We've misplaced, you know, we've mistaken the strata. This can't be a real thing, and that's the normal thing that you do. You discount the evidence, and evolutionists are fabulous at that.
John, we have this from the live chat. Do you believe there is life on other planets?
Well, we have been looking for intelligent life in outer space for a long time now. We've had the big telescopes listening. We've had our satellites right out to the end of the solar system. And I love the headlines that appeared in one of our Australian newspapers about 2 years ago. It said, there is intelligent life in outer space, but it's only us. So far, we've found no evidence of any other life forms anywhere. So, planet Earth is absolutely unique in that regard.
So we're sending out some contact information, but nobody's replying.
And that's basically what you're doing. And most of the research at the moment, I mean, we're going to Mars, we're landing there, we're looking for water. Why? Water's on Earth, life's on Earth. If you believe in evolution, then life and water must be connected. So if we find water, then perhaps life evolved on Mars.
Well, John, we have a regular guest that calls into the program, an alien named Fred, and I believe he calls from the heart of the Orion's belt. How do you account for him?
They must have a very expensive phone bill.
Okay.
Or else he's in need of a lot of help.
Yeah.